right now. Hmm.
Okay.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay, we're off and running. So, yeah, Darcy, thanks a lot for making this happen.
Yeah, no problem.
And you're in Washington State as well, right?
Yeah, I'm in Washington State. Are you in Washington State?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. I was reading through your stuff this morning. So I'm outside of Seattle in like the town that most people have heard of is Maple Valley. I don't know if you've heard of
Oh yeah,
Maple Valley.
I know people who live there.
Oh, okay, yep. We're right next to there in a little town called Ravensdale.
Okay. Wow.
Unincorporated, small place. And I've been in Washington State for longer than I realized. I was gonna say 7 years, but it's probably been like a decade or maybe even more. Um, and it's still shocking how terrible my Washington geography is. So where are you located?
I'm in Tacoma.
Oh, okay, easy day.
Literally just moved here 4 days ago. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I was in Port Angeles.
I've heard of Port Angeles, but I couldn't point to it on a map, but I've heard of it.
It's out on the peninsula, the
Okay.
Olympic Peninsula of Washington, and it's right next to the Olympic National Park. It is an outdoor mecca. When people ask to come visit, I say, "Do you want to hike or hike?"
That's cool.
Yeah.
So Tacoma voluntarily or business or like kind of forced to go there?
Kind of a mix. My
Okay.
job changed. It changed by force a few months ago, and then I opted to apply for a different job, and it required me to be in office. So
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
kind of I'm s- strategizing a little bit if I need to make a job change.
Mm. Are you
So
happy with where you are in Tacoma? Because Tacoma is a big place and there's good Tacoma and then there's sketchy Tacoma.
yes, yes. I landed in I think a little pocket of goodness.
Good. Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, the houses on my street are clean and well kept. And when I've been walking my dogs in the neighborhood, there's a lot of really cute houses and
Excellent.
yeah. So, but just a few blocks over is when it starts to get a little
It can
dicey.
change
So
fast.
it can, yeah, it's kind of street by street, but I think I landed in a good spot.
My wife's parents, they live in the area, but they go to Tacoma all the time for like they love it for like food, restaurant, ice cream, and all that stuff. I guess there's some good. I haven't explored Tacoma too much on the cuisine side, but they're big fans.
Yeah, I just went downtown for the first time last week and ate at a place. Wood Grill. I can't remember what it was called, but it was really good. And the downtown area was cute because I've had to commute to the office sometimes from Port Angeles into Seattle. And so I drive on the freeway, but I've never bothered to get off anywhere to explore. So
Was the commuting into Seattle rugged, just traffic wise?
it could be. It was a 2.5 hour commute
Is
without
that one way or
one way, but I didn't have to be in the office that much. So
thank goodness there's only so many hours in the day.
right. So sometimes I needed to make a cameo appearance, but otherwise I just worked from home. So
What do you do for tuna? Is it podcasts in the car or how are you passing the time?
yeah, I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I'm in a book
Okay.
club.
Okay, I was gonna say
So
you knock out some books on that commute.
yeah, yeah, but I didn't have to go very often. So
Okay, good, good, good.
yeah.
I've got my brother-in-law. He works for Amazon in like their tech side. I don't know if they're cloud services or whatnot, but for the longest time they were remote, but there's been a return to office
Yes.
Amazon and he is dealing with a brutal commute.
Right.
So
Yeah,
he's kind of shopping around as well. He's not a happy camper at the moment.
I know. Yeah, I feel like that's been the wave this year is making a big all call for return to office. So yeah.
Well, I'm curious, one of the things that I wanted to chat with you about was seemed like you had a very interesting occupational history. One of these conversations with Linchpin members are one of my favorite things that I do every week because I get to talk to real people all around the world, all different walks of life. Everybody's got a different story. I get to learn from what they're doing, and you had mentioned that like a background in aviation. I don't want to butcher it, but yeah, give me a sense of what that is that you've been doing all these years.
Yeah, I have a passion for teaching and I have a passion for aviation. And so I've now in my present job, I've kind of married those two and I get to teach about aviation.
Where
But
did
yeah,
the passion for aviation come from?
um, I don't know. I remember when I was in, I think I was a freshman or a sophomore in high school, and I just all of a sudden came up with the idea, well, it'd be really nice to design airplanes. I'm going to be an aeronautical engineer.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
my dad was a machinist, and so he owned his own business. I mean, it was a tiny shop on our farm that he did. He farmed, and then he was a machinist as well. And so he always included me if he had to build something. I'd get right in there and help him build things. And so I'm very hands-on, and I
Hmm.
enjoy mechanical things. And I came up with this idea to become an aeronautical engineer, and then I met calculus. And calculus is not my friend.
Mm-mm. Not my friend either.
And so I kind of, put that dream to the side, but I had had the opportunity to sign up for a career apprenticeship class my junior year in high school. And I grew up in a farm town. There was 5,000 people. There are no aeronautical engineers anywhere.
Mm-mm.
And so I was one of the last kids to get placed. And the teacher came in one day and said, "Hey, we found a mechanic at the local airport who's willing to take you, but you're a girl." And he actually said he thought I would get cold, which I thought was a little ridiculous. But essentially, I can't do it because I'm a girl, and I have that "I'll show you" kind of a
Mm.
attitude. And I worked
Was the
one.
thought that just, trying to put myself there, like, did he think things were too heavy, or just in their mind, girls don't do mechanic sort of work, or what was the thought process, you think?
Probably I was March in Oregon, so I mean it's rainy, but probably just it's not something a girl would be interested in, maybe.
Gotcha. Okay. Maybe,
So
hey, you don't know what you're really getting involved in. This isn't what you want to do.
yeah, maybe.
Interesting.
And
Okay.
so, but I signed up and said, I'll do it. And I went out to the airport a few times a week to work with this guy. I don't remember his real name, but he went by Mac. I mean, it was typical mechanic
That's
name, right?
awesome. Yep.
And first day, he gave me my own set of coveralls and just got me right into it. And so he was so encouraging. I remember
Oh, so
we
Mac could have cared less that you were a girl.
Mac could have cared less. He
That's
was
cool.
he was just excited to have there was another student that was working for him too. So we had two of us that would alternate days at his shop. And it was just for, an hour and a half or whatever. And but he saved projects for me. He saved, I learned how to hand pack wheel bearings. He taught me how to solder, how
Hmm.
to rig flight controls. He let me borrow. There are these pliers called safety wire pliers. And in aviation, a lot of the bolts have holes drilled in them in the heads, and you use safety wire to, it's not holding the torque, which a lot of people think. It's to keep the bolts from falling somewhere. You don't want them if they back out. And
Okay.
so he let me take a pair of pliers home because you have to twist the wires, and the
Huh.
pliers have a kind of like a spool on it, and you pull the end and they twist it automatically for you.
Interesting.
And so he had let me take a pair of those home, and I got in my dad's vise at his
Did you think
shop.
it was just the coolest thing in the world?
Oh my gosh, and I'm in there safety wiring. And then senior year I kind of flip-flopped. I thought I would study French and do international business studies. And then I got my financial aid package from Southern Oregon, and it just was not good. And
Hmm.
so I decided, well, my mom said she'll help me with the first 2 years of school, and so I thought I would do the airplane maintenance technician program and do that, and then that would give me a trade, and I could
Hmm.
afford to put myself through for something else if I wanted to, earning higher than minimum wage at a job. So,
That
um,
is cool. And it is, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people, so I know this is not scientific data, but my gut is that, well, first of all, the trades in general are
mhm,
normally not as embraced as other occupations, or they have a stigma, or they have whatever you want to call it. And then on top of that, the the group of people who do pursue the trades, it's been my take that I think the number of women that pursue the trades is quite small. Is that
yeah,
a fair statement to say that, if you're looking
yeah,
around in your classes, your peers, whatever, that there's not a ton of just women just spilling out of everywhere?
right. Yeah, it was, I think there were three women in my 20 something numbers class
Okay.
when I was doing the maintenance technician program, and one of them was prior military. So
And is it good, bad, or indifferent? Meaning, do you get extra attention in a good way, more eyeballs in a bad way, or do most of the time they just don't care, you do the work?
It's a mix. Some people don't care. I had an instructor that was exceedingly rough on me because
Mm.
I was a female. And he told me straight up at the end of the quarter, he's like, I did this, I treated you like this because this is how you're going to be treated in the real world. And he was so wrong. I was never treated as poorly as he treated me. Yeah,
Oh, that's
you
amazing.
know, I experienced, where I would be the last person people would ask for tools, that sort of a thing. But the first person they would ask if they needed small hands to get into tight spaces. So, and then yeah, and then there were some men. I endured a lot of sexual harassment by a few
I can
students,
imagine.
a lot. And at 19, I wasn't in a position to speak up because I knew I was in a quote unquote man's world, right? And so
Hmm.
I kind of took it as it was as a whole. Um, and so I don't know if that was good or bad, but that
And
was.
you being in the field for so long, do you feel the environment has changed, either with regards to perception or harassment? And is it still like a shockingly low number of women that pursue those occupations, or is that kind of still the same?
I feel like the numbers are increasing for women, definitely. Um, I feel like it depends on the company, the region, because most of my mechanic experience was in Alaska, and that's just another beast.
Another world.
Yeah, it's another world. So, yeah, I think it just depends. In my current job, I mean, I literally walked in the door and my whole team, my whole department treats me as being really competent, equal teammate, and that has been stellar. So, yeah. And I teach too, so I walk into classes with uh all male audiences, and
Hmm.
so that's something too. Luckily my eyes are getting bad in my old age, and so when I teach I wear my little half readers and I feel like it gives me a little bit of you know
Understood.
yeah.
Well, you said what you said about, Alaska being maybe just different, shall we say. And I've done a lot of traveling. I've never been to Alaska. And so I guess I'm curious, having spent the time that you did in Alaska and having, I guess, some experiences good and some experiences bad, do you look back on Alaska fondly or negatively? Or like, when you hear the word Alaska, what emotions or feelings pop into you?
Alaska's my spirit state.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a half sleeve tattoo that's kind of the essence of Alaska. I
And
love
as
it.
somebody who's never been there, why is that? What's so cool about it? What speaks to you?
It's just, man, you meet the most incredible people. It's a harder way of life. It's, working, and there's going to be regions around the country where other people do this too, but it's, working all day, coming home, shoveling your driveway for 4 hours, right, in the winter.
Mm,
It's being resourceful, having to drive 4 hours to get to a quote unquote regular store. Home Depot
yeah,
is four
wow.
and a half hours away. Costco was 4.5 hours away. I lived off the road system though. I lived in Nome for 3 years, and what a magnificent place. It's just, you can drive out of town and park anywhere and go for a walk on the tundra. There's blueberries and cranberries that grow there.
That's amazing.
There's actually a pretty good music scene in Nome, which
Oh, wow.
I think would shock a lot of people. But lots of artists and musicians there. And it's just a town of 5,000, but maybe 3,000. It's probably 3,000. But yeah, what a wonderful place.
Two things I'm curious about. So, number one, I've heard that maybe because it is so remote, is it, I think some people think, oh, Alaska, it's the country, it's the sticks, it's got to be cheap to live there. But I've heard that's actually quite expensive.
Yeah, it's really expensive. I actually stopped drinking pop when I moved to Nome because it was, $9 a case. And it was just an added expense, so I stopped drinking it, and no regrets, no regrets.
Right, right. But housing, I mean, everything's just more expensive.
Um, yeah, and I think it kind of depends on where you are, but housing's limited, right? Because,
Mm.
you go into these towns, construction materials are really difficult to get, especially when you're off the road system. And so, cars are more expensive. You have to Nome, especially, you boat all your vehicles up there. And so
Wow. Yeah.
you pay money from, did they come from Seattle? I can't remember. But yeah, all the cars have to come in. So you can just tack on, $1,200 to a vehicle
Right.
because of shipping costs, so.
What about mosquitoes?
Oh, that's also a regional thing. So when I worked on helicopters, I was based in Fairbanks for a while, and the bugs in Fairbanks are horrific. And then elsewhere, it's kind of seasonal. And one time I was up in a place called Fort Yukon. That's really far north. I call it Fort Yucky.
Okay.
But the bugs there were worse than I had ever seen before. And I actually went out one day to do an inspection on a helicopter after it flew, and I was feeling lazy. I didn't feel like putting on, I had a full net suit
That's what I was curious about.
to
Okay.
wear. I didn't feel like putting it on, so I went out there and did my inspection, and I came back in, and the base manager looked at me, and he he just says, "The last person who looked like you, we had to medevac." And I looked in the mirror, and my neck was solid red.
Oh,
Between
gee.
There's a bug called no-see-um, like
Mm-hmm.
no-see-um because they're small, and then the white socks,
Never heard of those.
they had eaten my neck. And so I started downing the Benadryl, and I was fine, but yeah, I learned a lesson there.
But they're that nasty.
They're pretty nasty,
So you
yeah.
have to do all your work, depending upon where you are, like in a full bug suit
Just I would say if you're
or head
kind of
net or something.
in a remote area, yeah, Fort Yukon is in a remote area.
And
Um,
I would tend to think that working on aviation equipment is a rugged job anyway on a nice day. Then you add in like cold, you've got to use your hands, it's frigid outside, you're dealing with the elements. I would think
yeah,
that, and I would also think that something like Alaska is hard on equipment as well. I mean, was that just
yeah.
a good place to do your occupation?
I mean, all the hangars are heated up there. So,
Thank goodness.
if typically if you're working on something, you're going to pull it inside the hangar. Obviously, you can't pull everything in. And so then I have my insulated Carhartt outfit, and I've got my tools in my pockets ready to go. And I know exactly how long I have before my fingers are going to freeze, because my tools will get too cold. And, so you have to make a plan.
Did you that love of wrenching on things and aviation persist, or were you sometimes you're like, why did I choose this path?
No, I love it. I love using
Oh,
all
that's
the air
cool.
tools. But it's the environment, right? So typically I'm the only female, and the shop talk starts to wear on me a little bit. And so I mechanicked off and on for about 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I became an English teacher. So
Quite a change.
yeah, so I mechanicked for a couple years full time, and then decided that I'd had enough of the shop talk, and so I went back to school and got a master's degree in teaching, and took a job in Nome. That's what took me to Nome, was to be an English teacher.
Hmm.
Then since I had summers off, I thought I would mechanic. So then I mechanicked in summers and taught during the school years for a number of years, and so.
How did you like being an English teacher? I
I
mean, off
love
the
being an
chain.
English teacher. So I taught 10th and 12th grade English in Nome, and then I taught middle school, primarily 8th grade, down in Homer, Alaska.
Okay. And how long ago were you a teacher?
I stopped teaching in public schools 6 years ago now.
Okay, that's pretty recent.
Yeah, so I taught for 13 years.
Okay, so
So,
what's your assessment of the youth? Or is the country in good hands? Or are we all doomed?
well, okay, I have a friend who thinks we're in really good hands. She taught for a number of years, and she thinks we're in the best hands
Okay,
for
okay.
our future. For me, the behaviors just became they were just becoming a real issue, and parents were tending to side with their student versus, you
I've
know,
heard that the
I'm
teachers are
saying that I'm
talk
seeing this behavior, and instead of saying, "Oh my gosh, I'll have a talk with my kid," it's, "Oh my gosh, my kid would never do that," you know? And so,
I
uh,
feel like I don't want to be the old guy that now doesn't remember history properly, but I just really don't think that was the case. I mean, heaven forbid this school or the teachers said something to my parents. They ain't taking my side
I know. Yeah, there's been a
at
shift.
all. I'm going to be in trouble. You better believe it.
Yeah, there's been a shift. So,
And again, I don't think I'm misremembering history. So we've got a 4-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 15-year-old, and they go to school in the area around here. And there was no such thing, like literally, I think zero instances when I was growing up of like a classroom being evacuated because a child was being so disruptive or disrespectful.
yeah.
Literally never happened in my entire educational journey. And I never heard of a single friend of mine from another school that ever experienced it either. And now, I don't want to use the word common, but it's not shocking when I hear by 13 years like, everyone had to leave the classroom today because so and so is doing this. I'm like, what is happening? And how are you learning anything?
Right. Yeah. And there's a couple things with that because even when I was in high school, we had inclusive or I don't want to say confined classrooms, but the kids who were struggling with behaviors and emotional problems were typically in one classroom and they were taught
Hmm.
by a specific teacher. The trend since I became a teacher has been to do inclusion, where you're bringing them into the classroom so they can be with their peers and they've generally got an aide or somebody that's helping them. Uh,
Right. Okay.
so, and then you add in, budget cuts and you add in
Right.
staff
Right. Right.
shortages and
Overcrowded
all of that.
classrooms.
So, yeah. So I don't know what the answer is per se for
Nor do
best
I.
case. Yeah, because it's like, yeah, of course we want kids to be included and everything. But yes, at what
100%.
point I have friends that have their classrooms evacuated too, and yeah, it's gotten tougher. It's gotten tougher
And
to
that, what you're describing there, I think like that's, I would hope anybody that's quasi-rational, like that's fair. Like if you have a young person that has legitimate behavioral issues, has an aid, like you can understand why there is an outbreak or why they got overwhelmed or something. Like I get that. Like I totally get that.
Yeah,
But there also seems to be the occasional, like everyone had to get out of the classroom for something that I don't think is somebody who has like a documented behavior thing. They're just like
absolutely.
profoundly disrespectful or
Yes.
profoundly aggressive or profoundly
Yeah.
something that I'm like, what is happening in the classroom?
Yeah. And it's interesting. I have a friend who's worked with, she's a counselor. She's not a school counselor, but she is a counselor for teens. And she said that the trend has been in the past, she would counsel the kids who did have the challenges. Now she's counseling the kids who are experiencing
Oh, interesting.
behaviors from those kids. And so there's some weird trends kind of happening now. And
But
yeah.
it's funny because our two boys, our oldest one, he doesn't like school. As a matter of
Mhm.
fact, the more disruptions, the better. He would take a disruption every day where they have to, he would take a classroom evacuation every day of the week. He'd be the happiest kid in the world. Our middle kid, the 13, he actually like on his own is like a studious young man. And it's just sad to hear like he's genuinely frustrated where he's like, I can't learn what I'm trying to learn. I'm like, well, that's the whole point of school is to learn. And if
Yeah.
that is not actually accomplishing its mission, it sounds like we need to take a hard look because if any other company was failing at the company's objectives, wouldn't you be like, we need to rework something here? But it seems like there's no attempt to figure out what's going on and correct. It's just like, well, this is how it is.
Yeah. Well, one of my former principals, the way my former district uh, did my principal's evaluations was based on the number of suspensions. So if my
Mm,
principal suspended kids, that worked against her. So it
interesting.
wasn't in her interest to
That's a
discipline.
bad incentive structure.
Right. It's very bad incentive structure. So
Interesting. Fascinating. Okay, so
yeah.
then post post English teaching, is that where you
Yeah.
kind of got your dream job that blended everything together, or was there another
I
step?
Well, I quit teaching and I went back. I was so grateful I had my vocational degree because I could jump right back into mechanicking.
Hmm.
And I had only taken about a 5-year hiatus from it anyway. But I got a mechanicking job and uh, kind of went through like this experimental year of I took some legal classes to see if I wanted to be a paralegal. But then I figured out, well, that's just another $20 an hour job, and I already have one of those as a mechanic. So
Hmm.
there's no point in that. Then I took some writing classes because I love writing um, and then I was talking to, I have a couple friends that work for the Federal Aviation Administration, and it had always been an interest of mine to work for the FAA as a maintenance inspector. And so you basically go in and you visit small maintenance facilities and just make sure they're doing their job and how could I support them? And
Hmm.
so, oh boy, Winnie. Okay, just the mailman.
Oh, no worries. Hey, there's no rules here. Do whatever you got to do.
I know. What are the chances my dogs won't bark for a long period of time?
It
Hey,
happens.
Winnie. Winnie, come here. Hey,
What kind of dog?
she's a mutt from Mexico. And then I have a German Shepherd. So yeah, Winnie is the incessant barker when she's with
Gotcha.
somebody.
Gotcha. No worries.
So after after I talked to my friends for the FAA, there's a whole discipline. It's called human. Hey, Roxy, it's called human factors.
Uh-huh.
Nobody's ever heard of it before.
Mm-mm.
So human factors is human performance in any environment, in any uh, situation, and it's dealing with efficiency and safety. So it's under things like ergonomics, how high is your table?
Oh,
What
okay.
kind of tools are you using? How thick is your bar that you're doing your pull-ups on, right?
Hmm.
Like,
Interesting.
is it comfortable? It's cognitive workload, so complacency versus being overstimulated and becoming fatigued.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
so it's a whole lot of different things. Systems engineering. So how do humans fit in an environment? How does the system change when there's weather or regulations you have to follow?
Right.
And it was something I took a class in that in my undergraduate, and I was really interested in it. But I chose to do maintenance management instead. So I circled back and I decided to get a master's in human factors. And so I did an online program through Embry-Riddle and got my piece of paper. And after looking at the job requirements to get into the FAA for the human factors roles, it hired in at such a high level. I wasn't going to be able to get into it without going and getting a job, but uh,
I see.
I'd have to move and it would be more difficult. So
Mm-hmm.
Boeing was 2.5 hours away. And so they were hiring for maintenance instructors. And so I got hired on as a systems instructor for the 777 aircraft team. And I literally get paid to travel the world and teach about airplanes now.
That's pretty awesome.
So I've worked for him for 2.5 years, and I've been to Baku, Azerbaijan. That was my first class.
Okay.
They don't even allow, in Azerbaijan, women aren't even allowed to become a mechanic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they won't let them into the training programs.
Okay. Wow.
They can do a lot of other aviation jobs, but not mechanicking. And then I've taught in Copenhagen twice, and I've been to Gatwick, and I leave for Singapore in 3 weeks.
Is
So
it, are you enjoying all the travel?
I do. It's hard. I'm a single parent with a 16-year-old and two dogs. And so I have a sitter. I find someone to come stay at the house with my daughter when I travel, but things start to fall apart after a while because, mom is the backbone. So
Yeah, no, understandable. That how long your trips normally?
10 to 14 days.
Ooh, that's a good stint.
It's a good stint. Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
class is 6 weeks. And then we've got four instructors that divide the time based on what we call a teach block. And so the first guy goes in and teaches flight deck stuff, instruments, and communications. And then I come in and I get to teach engines, fuel, the electrical system, and auxiliary power. And so I'm there for 10 to 14 days, and then I leave, and the next person comes in to teach hydraulics, and then the last instructor comes in for the rest.
So you're there just long enough to get fully acclimated to that time zone, and then you fly
And
back.
then I leave. Yeah. Yeah, that's rough. I'm not, yeah, I'm a little worried about Singapore because it's a 16-hour time difference.
Oh man.
Baku
Well,
was 12 and that was tough. Yeah,
you've
so
been.
then to be teaching and recalling technical information when you're under, that fatigue, which is all human factors, right? Like that's human
Hmm.
factors and it's tough. So,
But it seems like you finally landed where you should be.
oh, it's the best job.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I love it so
But
much.
but like, hey, good on you for, you did it yourself. Like
I
nobody
did.
gave you anything. Like you
Yeah.
grinded, you went to work, you did hard labor, you traveled around, you put food on the table and that didn't work, you went back to school, you tried something else, you got a different degree. Like that's that's some good, maybe that Alaska thing you're saying, that's some good resilience. Like you figured it.
Yeah. I think that's the one thing about my character. If I can admire something about myself, is that if I'm in a situation I don't like, I just keep moving and I do whatever I need to make it shift. And
Hmm.
so, I'm not going to be unhappy in a job that I work at for 40 hours a week. I can't. And so it's like, okay, well, what else can I do? And I'm so grateful for that mechanicking background because I can walk into any hangar and get hired and I will always have a job. And I feel like a lot of people get stuck, because they
Oh yeah,
only have one thing, you know.
100%.
And so and I just didn't want to be that teacher, when my heart wasn't in the public school anymore. I didn't want to do that to the kids and I didn't want to do that to myself.
No, I fully agree. Again, it's a fascinating occupational history, and maybe before I let you go, we should talk fitness for like 2 minutes.
Oh yeah.
So, what I also think was cool about you is sometimes the people that I do interviews with have been around for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years with Lynchpin or whatnot. But you've been with Lynchpin for 4 months, which is really
Yeah.
cool. So I'm curious, two questions. Um, what brought you, there's a whole lot of offerings out there. What brought you to Lynchpin? Why that? And then just what's the last 4 months been like? Has it been, quite a change from what you're used to? Like how, this is not scripted, so I just want to curious to hear
Yeah.
what brought you to Lynchpin and how's it been so far?
Yeah, well, I first was introduced to CrossFit back in 2012 or 2013. I had an opportunity to teach a section of middle school PE
Nice.
in addition to my English classes, so I'd run back and forth. And
Awesome.
by the third year, I had stopped wearing nice teacher clothes. I just showed up in my PE clothes to
Good
work.
for you.
And but I've done a lot of different programs in my 20s. I did a lot of isolation moves. I worked at a gym and a personal trainer had given me a routine. In
Mm,
my 30s, I did some of the commercial programs that you can get on
yep.
DVD and whatnot, and they were great. But it's hard
Some of
to.
them look so hard, to be quite honest
They
with you.
are, and honestly,
75
one of
minutes of
them.
high intensity, like P90X. It looks,
Oh
that's
yeah.
rugged.
Oh yeah. Well, I did Taibo back in the in the late 90s and I love the body pump. I love body pump. Like that was really awesome to be a part of. And then I did the insanity and yeah, my knees did not like my insanity days. It was insanity.
I believe it.
And then yeah, I got involved in CrossFit and I loved it. It was that constantly varied, right? And it focuses on whole fitness. And so that's been that kind of approach to working out has been really the only thing that's kept my attention for
Mm,
so long, and I don't get bored with it. Um, and when I was living in when I was in Homer, Alaska, there was no affiliate there. And so I would just go in because I taught PE. I was like, I got to be in shape to teach these kids. And so I would
hmm.
do a morning workout and every day by myself. I just go in Monday through Friday and do the workout. And then once I moved to the lower 48, that's what we call it.
Awesome.
um, I worked out at a couple different affiliates, one near Vancouver, Washington, that was amazing. Like it was such a wonderful affiliate. And then when I moved to Port Angeles, I just couldn't find a good fit there. And so I had been collecting my own home gym equipment for a long time, and I just
Right.
committed to finishing it off. But then I lost my motivation. I needed accountability, and so I'd found an online program to try, and I met some really amazing people through that community. But the programming was, I found I was getting injured more than I had ever been. I'd never get injured, and I was feeling more fatigued. When I was sore, I'd be sore for a week and a half.
Oh,
It
interesting.
was
I didn't know that.
yeah, it was rough on my body, and so I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, "Hey, have you ever noticed that this programming, is just a little tough on your body?" And she said, "Yeah, it is, And I said, "I think I'm going to start shopping around." And so I tried a different program for a free trial, and then she actually found Linchpin, and since you had a 30-day trial, she really
Oh.
liked that because well, because 7 days is so short, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
And
fair
so
enough.
she was like, "This one has 30 days." And we tried it and we both loved it. Like, we love everything's just laid out so easy on the app. We can just hit the warm up, it's there. It's got all the different versions. So if I'm traveling and I don't have a gym, or if I've got limited equipment, it's awesome. I'm not pigeonholed into like, well, I've only got these few non-equipment workouts to do, right? Like, it varies every day. And so I love it. I love all the
Very
optional work.
cool.
I do almost all the optional work every day. Like,
All good. It's all good. Hey, if it
so,
treats you well and everything's going in the right
oh, I
direction,
love it.
rock on.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, I
That's
appreciate you.
that's very cool. And are you, some people are active in the Facebook group, some people just kind of poke around and don't do anything, some people like follow somebody else. Are you like, where does social media fall into your experience as well?
Well, I followed the Linchpin page on Facebook, and I actually really like that it's only fitness oriented. I like that,
Yeah.
having that rule.
There's plenty of internet for everything else.
Yes, yes,
Like,
exactly. So, but it's really fun to see everybody posting their workouts. And I try not to look before the workout, because then you see the people who are like, "Oh my gosh, what just happened?"
there are some psychos in there.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, so I actually have two friends that I work out with every day at noon. We do a
Oh,
Zoom,
that's cool.
and we do it. We kick it out. So,
That's that's awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, maybe in closing, you've had such an interesting life, but I actually don't want to ask you something occupation wise. What would be your parting thoughts or advice? Because you also mentioned for a while you lost motivation. There's I think plenty of single parents out there, be it moms or dads, who are overwhelmed, motivation's low, they're just trying to pay the bills, seems like free time is non-existent, and they put all their needs last, and fitness takes a back seat, so does nutrition, the weight starts to come on, and then you get into a hole that it doesn't seem like you can get out of. What would be your advice or recommendation to the overworked single parent that wants to try to get back into shape?
oh my gosh, I think something is more than nothing. On the days that I feel like I don't have time, or I just can't fit anything in, I'll actually usually pull out a Tabata track, and I'll just do
Perfect.
one move, and I'll just maybe squats, right? And I do a squat of Tabata. And then at the end of the 4 minutes, I'm like, well, I can do another 4 minutes. Then I'll drop and do some push-ups, right? And so I can do 4 minutes, and I have my favorite moves. I will do a dumbbell snatch anytime, any day. Those are my
Good, yeah. It's
favorite.
great to have some favorites that are
It
easy to say
is.
yes to.
So sometimes that's what helps too, is, I'm not willing to do thrusters today, but you know what? I can do some squats, And so it's just that whole something is more than nothing, you know,
Love that.
and
I
just
and I could not agree more. And that's the whole part of like freedom with what you're doing with working out, right? Like, is there a point for the workout today? Well, yeah, because maybe we went below parallel yesterday. We don't want to go below parallel today, or like, yeah, there's a point. But if you're in some mental funk or whatever, then you're like, I'm going to do something I like today, or I'm going to do nothing. Do something you like.
Right,
Like
exactly.
that's
Even just 10
okay.
reps. 10
That's
reps,
great.
right?
Like get that positive momentum back, and then that turns into a habit, and then you get back on track, and like it's okay. We're all humans. We have these ebbs and flows and ups and downs, and like it's okay to acknowledge that that's real life. We're not all robots that perfectly execute the plan every day.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
people
And
like that.
it really has helped for me to have those two friends that I work out with too on Zoom. It was comical last week because one of them was having some work issues and then I was just having a day because I was trying to move. And we both logged in to the Zoom and I was like, I'm not working out today because I'm moving and all this stuff. And he's like, well, I'm not working out either. But we showed up because we knew each other would be there.
That's
Um,
cool.
and we were there to, just cheer each other on and stuff. And so it was pretty cool.
That's very cool. Well, Darcy, I appreciate you being a part of Lynchman, appreciate you giving it a try. And I say this all the time, and I mean it, like interesting people like you, real people, in my opinion, make Lynchman special. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for being a part of it, and thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm so glad I found Linchpin.
Well, I will see you online and enjoy your time in Tacoma.
All right, thank you.
Bye.